Good morning, Vietnam! Hey, this is not a test, this is rock and roll, and time to rock it from the Delta to the D and Z. So my dear colleagues, my dear students, welcome to our annual SciPop conference, Take a Gander at Chemistry 8. So every year, we try to come up with something new, something interesting and intriguing. So today, this year, our conference will be divided not only into 2 sections, but also into 2 days.
Let's absolutely right. And before we begin our wonderful day today, let me introduce the experts. The expert number 1, Mark VIII, Research Fellow of Smart Materials and Technology Institute, TSU. And Sander Zorin, leading expert of Laboratory of Organic Synthesis. Ekaterina Lvova, Engineer, Department of Physical and Colloidal Chemistry, TSU. Lana Konova, Master Student of Translational Chemical and Biomedical Technologies Program, TSU, Conference Participant in 2017, Conference Expert in 2020. Master Student of Translation Theory Program, TSU. And Sofia Puzyrova, Master Student of Fundamental and Applied Chemistry Program, TSU, Conference Participant in 2019.
Well, now the experts have been introduced, and now it is time for a welcoming speech. And this welcoming speech will be provided now not by professors or people of that sort, but each and every one of us, so the students and young scientists. So some technical difficulties apparently.
As usual.
Dear participants of the conference, you're great fellows that you decide to tell us about you're interested in. Once I was on your place trying to cope with excitement, that helped me was motivation and inspiration. The fact that I can tell about I'm interested in. So you can think about your hobbies, the interest you deliver, and you will exceed.
Day by day, the year go by, dawn of new generation. But never forget the word chemistry. Chemistry is always alive. Chemistry is with you, in sorrow, in hope and joy. In every happy day, chemistry is with you and with me.
At some moment, chemical compounds became so complex that they began to study themselves. El surrender us is chemistry, from the substance that freshman kids can name as sodium chloride to the most complex that determine our preference, taste, and hobbies, DNA. This word can be described by mathematical equation, physical laws, and chemical formulas. It is a universal language that overcame our language barrier. So let's do it today. Overcame our language barrier and enjoy the conference.
Hey chemist, nice experiment, awesome synthesis. If you want to know chemistry well, you need to learn English as well.
So, my friends, my dear colleagues, and dear students, you all perfectly know what I have to say to you, and I know how you can reply, so I will keep this very short. Do not be afraid, do not panic, just relax and enjoy the show. And remember the perhaps most useful in this occasion motto: who dares wins.
So, very beautiful words, I should say. And to see the second part of this video, be sure to attend the second part of our conference, which will be held tomorrow, 5th of May. Do not forget that, please. And before we begin, let us just quickly address some very important issues that will help you to get through this wonderful day. So the conference schedule is right in front of you in the paper. You can access it via the QR code as well.
Там для всех желающих находится перед вами. Ее можно получить как в QR-коду, так и в бумажном виде, он перед вами.
The voting section for the Vox Populi will be announced at about 5 o'clock today after the conference.
Сессия голосования за победителя приза зрительских симпатий сегодня пройдет где-то в 5 часов примерно.
And let us be environmentally conscious and friendly, and so do not forget hand in plastic. Nature is fantastic, so leave all the plastic stuff on the table and we will collect it afterwards.
Придержимся экологии и помним, пластик даем, планету бережем. Оставляйте все пластиковые предметы на столах во время, как вы приехали здесь. Мы это все соберем.
We kindly ask you to turn off your mobile phones for the duration of our conference and let all the things wait just for a bit.
Убедительно просим вас на время конференции включить все свои мобильные телефоны и пусть все дела немного подождут.
So all the important points seem to be addressed. The participants are ready, and we can start our first section today: hazardous and spectacular chemistry.
Did you know that scientists advise you not to set your alarm clock at even time?
Well, I can agree with that. It's much more pleasant to wake up at, well, let's say 10:12 rather than 7:20, for instance. But what is your point then?
I decided to go a little bit further and dedicate our first section to the anniversary of the great English writer Gander.
So, what is the date today?
168 years and 347 days since his birth.
So I assume the first report will be devoted to the forensics, right?
Exactly. And I want to give the floor to Elena Manuelova and Alona Kudakova with their report, The Head May Wrong, but Blood Never Is. Analysis of blood traces at the crime scene in chemistry sample.
I think teach us of magic many films. For example, famous Law and Order about forensic detective and justice people. They all use easy and maximum precision, known or possible information about criminals, and they easily use this information against them. We all know the blood is one of important so-called liquidation. With late users, people can faint or even die. Blood contains much information. For example, in traces, we can effectively investigate and prove the guilt of the offender, as in the charged offender. Even from the small drop of blood, much more information than you can be obtained when you can imagine. For example, where a person was, where and what speed they use, how and where is your injury, what gender and age they have. And today we will tell you how to obtain this information. The head may be wrong, but the blood never is. This quote by Nakajima Atsushi very awkwardly conveys the topic our story today. So, We will tell you general information about classification of blood traces and general information about blood. In second part, we will focus on words determined by blood analysis and to conduct the test of to detect blood traces. Blood is liquid tissue, essential to the body, constantly circulation in its vessels. Its main function to maintain metabolism and most importantly to supply oxygen to all cells. Together with the nervous system, blood maintains the interaction between all parts of the body and henceforth its integrity. Blood makes 8% of human body. In terms of composition, blood is very complex. It contains water, organic substance, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and products their transformation. Inorganic compounds, respiratory pigment, and non-proteins, nitrogen substance, and gases, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. Now, about how we can identify blood. Thanks to recent discovery in serology, immunology, and hematology, we know more information, qualitative identification of blood. At first, they began to differentiate blood by sex. Then scientists discovered the ABL system group. The ABL blood system group is used to denote the one bond or neither to A and B antigen on electrocyte. Finally, with the use DNA analysis in biological expertise, there was period prospect to determine the identity, blood traces, and a specific person. There are two classification systems of blood traces. Elementary traces, single traces, they provide information about the physical factors that form. Complex traces are secondary traces of blood on the body and object during or after a change in position in space under the action of forces. The form and location of blood traces helps to assemble the crime scene. The mechanism of crime, the location of victim and killer, and the time of injury. For example, blood stain and splashes can help establish the location of the attack on the victim, the sequence of the wounds, the possibility of the victim's movement after receiving the ghost bombs. Blood pools indicate that the victim was bleeding for some time in that location. The inconsistency of the pools and the location of the body indicates that the victim was moved after death.
The form of the drop helps to determine the direction of blood flow and the position of victim after the injury. The amount and location of blood traces at the scene may indicate what blood may have applied to clothing and body of the killer. This may also be confirmed by traces of blood washing, traces of carrying the body to another place, and bloody traces of hands on pieces of furniture as a scene. Most often, we can find the blood traces on modern vehicles on the victim's bodies. From chemistry standpoint, we conduct pre-tests using several methods. One, a sample using hydrogen peroxide. A few drops of hydrogen peroxide attempt to solution are fitted to the edge in a possible trace of blood. If it is blood, when carbon dioxide is released with the formation of the white form to test in ultraviolet. This method is effective was an attempt to eliminate trace of blood. In ultraviolet trace, blood will not be able to eliminate. The traces will have a dark brown color and healthy appearance. This test should be carried out in a dark place. 3. A sample gives the boscarbonic reagent. This reagent consists of citric or tartaric acid, barium peroxide and base on acetic benzene in mass ratio of 10 to 4 to 1 respectively. A sample of possible blood is placed on food paper and drop of one reagent is applied to it. We can observe a blue staining appears in the center of the spot after 50-20 seconds. For a sample with lumen, the fair working solution consists of 1 liter of distilled water, 5 grams of soda ash, and 0.1 gram of lumen. Before use, need to add 50-70 grams of fresh 3% hydrogen peroxide in this solution. Spray the thing with a solution and drink and leave it out then. We can observe the pale blue glow on blood traces. And so, the thing what our story today was about to use the blood on the opposite side. You have learned about what blood consists of, what vital process this provides, what can be determined by analysis of traces. And most importantly, we learned what's the basic of blood analysis. Learn what substance and samples can detect a trace of blood. Now you have to initiate the inference.
Thank you, ladies. Wait, what inside of blood made you sick?
Well, no, absolutely not. And well, that question is much more personal. I think you can ask our speakers too.
That's right. And now it's time for questions.
Maybe I've skipped it, but are there any stuff you can identify by the color? Like not only how long was your blood out of body, but something else. What can be identified by just the color?
Thank you for the question. But we don't answer these questions.
Any other questions, perhaps?
I have. Sorry, I missed information. Can you please tell me what is serology? What kind of science? Serology. What is that? Serology, immunology. Science, how I know, is about those of blood.
Any more questions, perhaps?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much for the report. And what inspired you to create this report? What motivated? Why did it?
Thank you for the question. We seriously interested in this term and created whichever can to know more about this topic, to get more.
And I guess that's all. Elena, thank you for your report.
Well, I suppose we're inspired by the Sherlock Holmes piece during the last cycle, right?
That's right. And the following presenters talk about his favorite beverage.
Espresso martini, perhaps. Well, it's my favorite one. consists of, if I recall correctly, vodka, cold liquor, ice, and coffee, right?
It's a little bit different. What else you associate with England? And maybe with the number 5 with?
Well, 5 o'clock, I suppose it's tea.
Yeah, right. And speaking about tea, one question that brings me out is whether it's possible to standardize sample tea on a global level.
Well, maybe we could just use the imperial number system, no?
No?
Well, all right, then I suggest we must listen to people that are much more competent than we are. So now we give the floor to Mark Batura and Andrei Batura with their report on international standard habits. That's right.
On this bottom of this. Okay. Let me briefly introduce myself and my colleague. My name is Mark Batura and this is Andrei Batura. We have arrived here today to speak about international standards, in particular about the cup of tea. It's not a report about making a perfect or delicious cup of tea, but it's about performing the procedure of reproducible and accurate tea. I saw International Organization for Standardization. It's an independent, non-governmental international organization with membership of 167 countries.
A little bit of history. In this topic, we try to tell the story of ISO without cold facts and numbers. Let's begin. ISO was born from the union of two organizations. One was the ISA, International Federation of the National Standardizing Associations, established in New York in 1926 and administrated from Switzerland. The other was the UNSCC, United Nations Standard Calculating Committee, established only in 1944 and administrated in London. When the World War II began, international ties collapsed, and the ISA was run by Mr. Haberach, a Swiss engineer who administrated the organization by himself. He attempted to keep the ISA going when the war broke out in 1939. But as international communication broke down, the ISA president overhauled the organization. The secretariat was closed and stewardship of the ISA was transferred to Switzerland.
And now I will introduce you to a British engineer called Charles Lemaister. Charles has claimed to be known as the father of standardization. He played significant role in many organizations. One of his colleagues described Lemaister as an extraordinary man. He was old school, very much a gentleman. You could almost say he was married of the organization, of the standardization, of course. How I saw standards developed. Okay, history is helpful for our understanding that company did to become a meaningful organization. But what about tea? How they standardize a regular cup of tea? How the standards appears in reality? I'm not an expert, but I am saying an industry or group of scientists may have a problem to solve in the regular cup of tea. A problem with analysis of values or different particles in tea. So they make an offer to ISO committee that cannot be refused. The International Organization for Standardization has a 6-stage process for developing standards. It's included plan stage, preparatory stage, committee stage. But what about committee stage? This is an optional stage which members of parent committee review and comment the draft standard. So, inquiry stage. The draft standard is this stage called the draft international standard. It is distributed to ISO members for comments and ultimately void. If it is approved at this stage, without any technical changes, they go to the publication stage. If it not, they go to the approval stage.
Why is it necessary to develop standards and get certified for compliance with them? With ISO certifications, you can accurately guarantee the quality, safety, and durability of product or service. ISO standards help open up new markets, improve environmental performance, and reduce barriers to international trade. ISO does not certify. Its conformity assessment committee for some standards related to the certification process. ISO develops standards and third-party certification bodies certify compliance with those standards.
In order to avoid the usual misunderstanding in our accuracy room, we need to know or refresh our knowledge in metrology. For doing this, I also have something for you. The standard is called accuracy of measurements, methods, and results. The purpose is outline the general principles to be understood when assessing process or accuracy. So this standard may be applied to a very wide range of materials, solids, powders, provided that due consideration is given to any heterogeneity of material. So that accuracy is the degrees of closeness that show us how simple measurement results to the accepted standards. Accuracy, like definition, includes terms, trueness, and precision. Of course, I said standard many times this topic. Suppose we need to ask definition. In metrology, a standard is an object, process, or experiment that will define relationship with some unit of measurement and with a physical quantity.
Now let's talk about limitations. To obtain an accurate result, the measurement limitation must always be taken into account. The result should also be presented taking into account the limitation. Every time we repeat measurement with a sensitive instrument, we obtain slightly different results. The common statistical model used indicates that limitation has two additive parts. Systematic limitations, which always occur the same value when they use the instrument in the same way and in the same case. Random limitations, which may vary from observation to another. Let me introduce the technique of reproducible tea. This document specifies a method for the preparation of the liquid of tea for use in sensory tests by means of infusing the leaf. Following the procedure, we may make black or green tea with and without milk. Okay, what's so special here? So I think we should observe from the point of view of chemistry. Extraction of soluble substances in dried tea leaf contained in a porcelain pot by means of boiling water, pouring of the liquor into the white porcelain bowl. Examination of the organoleptic properties of the infused tea. To procedure, equipment includes a pot of white porcelain or silicate, bowl of white porcelain. Equipment what we use in this procedure have particular characteristics like volume and mass.
Okay, and now we have a visual. Some help.
Hello, today in this video we will tell you how to make tea the right way. Yes, it seems like a very simple act that many of us do every day. But now we will show you how to make loose leaf tea according to the international standard. Therefore, we suggest that you watch this video to the end, learn all the subtitles of this art. To begin with, we need special equipment for making tea infusion. We use this pot for brewing tea and white porcelain bowl. Now let's move on to sampling. On electronic balance, we weighed 5.6 grams of tea leaves with limitation of 0.05 grams and transfer it to the pot. The main things in this movement is the accuracy of weighing, because the properties of prepared tea will depend on this.
We add boiling water to a level of 4 to 6 milliliters from the edge in the pot containing the tea sample. Then, using our pot, this amounts to 300 milliliters. It is necessary to let the tea brew for 6 minutes. Now the time has passed and we are ready to continue the experiment. We take our pot and pour the tea into the bowl, so that the boiled tea leaf remains in the pot. Now you can finally remake test tea. Just be careful not to burn yourself. It is worth nothing to the taste of tea depends on the severity of the water used. So, should we use drinking bottled water? It is so yummy.
Simple, right? We have the last slide. Okay.
As a result of our work, we have studied a large number of articles on standardization, and we managed to prepare the tea according to the international standards. We tested the taste and we did not really like it, but the tea has a smell inherent in black tea. Now you can make your own loose leaf tea.
Well, although it's not 5 o'clock yet, I would really go for some tea right now.
Milk or lemon?
Well, the main thing is not to mix them together, I suppose. And while we have some more relevant questions, so please, guys, you can ask the speakers the questions.
Do you feel yourself more standardized after this speech?
Yes, I feel like a document.
Yeah. Good man.
Great question, thank you. Just another one, perhaps. Just a quick one.
Why did you decide to choose tea as the target analyte? Because as I understand, I saw standardized different products. Why tea?
Why tea? Because it's my favorite drink. Of course, maybe it's just a simple procedure, but for I don't have many objects in my home, but tea, bowl, and pot I have. So we choose the national standard of cup of tea.
And almost here we like drink the tea every day.
Thank you.
Thank you for question. Just for 2 quick questions.
I always drink tea with sugar. Can I drink standard tea with sugar or not?
Yes, of course, but it's not being in the procedure. You're doing this sugar tea, you taste some, I don't know how to say it.
This standard
Not reproducible tea. I think you can add sugar if you what you want. You add 1, 2 cups of sugar in the tea.
They standard also to the black or green tea and milk.
Yes, but you can add the milk in your tea.
What kind of tea are you looking for?
So, sorry, can you repeat the question?
What kind or type of tea are you looking for?
I think it's black, but in the past I taste some blue tea, and I think it's more interesting than the simple black tea. So in real life, I only drink the black tea.
I also like black tea and with milk.
One of the questions from the experts, as I heard. Okay.
Usually use coffee. What's the difference between coffee and tea?
I saw it's more like for the more countries, for you can perform this procedure in USA, United Kingdom, and Russia, but both it's more like for the for one country, I think. It's for like national standard, maybe this.
Right, we must stop here with the questions. We have some time limits. So, Mark and Lee, thank you for your report.
Rest is a change of activity.
Well, I don't know, but I think that the rest is wonderful.
Great. Then since we started these days with associations, maybe we'll take a break and start.
Well, that would be great, but how do we arrange all that?
We'll leave the organization for those who do it. Maybe.
Well, all right, let's do so. We're welcome to discuss
Oh, these are people who are responsible for the following presentation.
I think we must have a break right now. It's the interaction break, right? Yes. Something went wrong here. I suppose we could meet our guys there.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
That's that all of us grew up watching the same movies, films. Someone does more, someone does less. But have you ever thought of the old difficulties of adapting film names into English structures? One day we thought, so we decided to try to do it by ourselves, and now we want you to try it.
Some about you. Firstly, you will see the movie name in English at the slide. You need to guess how this film is called in Russian. To make it some easy, after some time you will see a picture that shows how it's related to the movie. Let's look, for example.
It will be a little hint for you.
You must use the arrows.
Okay, let's start with easy levels.
You need to guess from the seats.
Oh yes, it is that. You got them right. Okay.
Next one.
What's that feel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Actually, the hint. They're bonus. Next one. Louder, please. No, it's not. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. You're right.
Okay. Some difficulty. Yes. Yes. I don't know why Russia. Okay.
Let's next level is normal, like medium. It's a little bit harder. No, it's not.
No.
It's the Guardians of Galaxy. It's the rise of the Guardians.
Yeah, we can give you a hint.
Ready?
Хранители снов.
Yes, definitely. Это хранители снов. Okay, next one.
Oh. Yes.
You're right. You're really into cartoons and movies.
Cartoon expert.
Yes.
Oh.
There are a lot of experts.
Okay, it's my level because, like say my colleagues, this will know only me. Okay? Yes.
Достучаться до небес.
Yes.
Right.
А какое надо?
Позови цензуры. Say. Yes.
Father one.
Вот все тяжкое.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Если вообще есть.
It's
Do
literally-
you want the balls?
Boss level. This film have some strange name in Russian to translate.
No,
Because it is my level.
it is Heroes level actually, yes.
Somebody?
No, there are no ideas.
Okay.
Let's see the answer.
I say the strange translation. And last. Yes? Yes.
Okay, thank you for your attention.
Well, sometimes it's hard to remember the name of movies.
Yes, especially if you don't know their names in Russian.
I have to admit, the brain works new, and so the legs have done well. That's right. Let's write the wave of association. Okay, do you know the show Family Feud?
Is that the charismatic host asks the participants the questions about the popular stuff, no?
Yes. And on that question, style of this show. Name something that is very strongly associated with Thompson.
All right, let's see. Well, maybe science. I don't know.
No,
Students, perhaps.
no,
Well, my last guess is the alcoholic beverages for the I'm not sure.
got it. Or did I wrong answer? Well, yes, I did. I disagree.
Was it supposed to be some kind of a riddle?
And while my colleague Guy solved this difficult question, yes or no, I suggest we listen to a report of recording keeper and Sinan Spet, the art and science.
Hello, everybody. Today we would like to talk about beer. Our purpose is to prove that chemistry plays an important role in this process. Beer brewing is an old-century tradition that became an art. Beer is a complex mixture of water, malted barley, hops, and yeast that undergoes various chemical reactions to form non-final product. The taste, flavor, and quality of beer is greatly influenced by chemical processes that take place during the brewing. Let's talk about main ingredients. Water is a major component of beer, accounting for approximately 90% of final product. The quality and composition of water play an important role on the taste and beer brewing process. For example, presence of certain minerals can enhance the flavor and mouthfeel, while others can negatively impact on the taste.
Malted barley is the next important ingredient. It is a barley that has been sprouted and dried to ferment, and so it starches into fermentable sugars. The malting process also affects beer's color and flavor. Hops are another essential ingredient in the beer brewing. Hops are the flower cones of the hop plant and are used for flavoring and preservation. Hops contain a variety of bitter compounds and oils that contribute flavor and aroma to the beer. Let's move on to the yeast, the final key ingredient. It is a microorganism that ferments sugars in the wort unfermented beer to produce an alcohol and carbon dioxide. Yeast strain, lengthened temperature of fermentation can define flavor and aroma of the beer. The brewing process itself is a combination of reactions that form flavor, aroma, and quality of the beer. The first step of brewing is a mashing, where some malt and water is mixed and heated to activate the enzymes, converting starches into sugars.
Next hops are added during the boiling process, which take from 30 minutes to hours. Boiling process helps to sterilize the wort and extract the aroma and flavor compounds from the hops. But the prolonged boiling can produce a mild reaction, product of which can make beer bitter and like with blue. After the boil, the wort is cooled and yeast are added to initiate the fermentation. Fermentation is where the major of beer brewing process happens. During this process, the yeast consumes the sugar from the wort and produces the alcohol and carbon dioxide. The length and temperatures of fermentation can greatly influence on the process and final taste of the product. For example, the higher temperatures can result in fruity estery flavor, while lower temperatures can result in a drier, cleaner beer.
After fermentation, beer is conditioned and matured, what can take from a few days to several weeks. This process smooths out any rough edges and improves the overall aroma and flavor of the beer. If you look at this diagram, you would see a majority of flavors. Finally, the beer is filtered and carbonated. It is a final product. In the conclusion, art and science of beer brewing are fascinating and complex, and say involves a variety of chemical reactions. Whether you are a seasonal drinker or just curious beginner, understanding the chemistry behind beer brewing can help you appreciate and enjoy this beloved beverage. This chart gives information about the success reference in our work. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, we would please to answer.
Thank you for the report. Slang name comes to mind.
Suppose it's called barley gold or something like that. But I do not think it's something that must be recalled right now. You would ask some questions.
I think the audience will have much more interesting questions than mine.
Have you ever tried to brew the beer yourself? Or like just from the chemical technology? Do you have something?
It's very prolonged process, so by ourselves it's very hard to use buy some stuff and use it. It's very hard and it's not costly if you don't drink, of course, every day.
Okay. What type of beers you may recommend it?
Thank you,
So dark. Type. Okay.
One by one.
What's the principal difference between dark and light beer, and what steps they divide?
What kind of malted barleys are used in process? So it's give the dark color or more light shade.
Color of malt determines the color.
How do you think it's possible to make a good red beer at home?
Easily, if you have some very not cheap stuff like a lot of glassware and some stuff. Okay, very not cheap, but you can reproduce great beer.
Well, have you
Sorry.
ever tried homemade beer?
Sorry, no, only buy.
Thank you.
You prefer eco or apple more?
People or apple.
Yes.
Can you translate this or I don't understand?
Indian pale ale or American pale ale? Okay, fine.
Any questions? Okay,
so help you.
Thank you for the report.
Bravo!
Good thing. Does the end justify the means?
Those events in the past will take the end, not just things used.
How about the path to happiness?
What do you mean? When the path to happiness justified the very goal, be happy.
Well, I don't know exactly, but we can set the question for our next presenters, I think. So we give the floor to Andrei Klukas and Pavel Petrov with a report Path to Happiness. How it works. You just press the button. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's tough. One of the most desirable reasons is the secret that everyone like knows is the result of happiness. When someone is happy, they feel love, complete, content, and control. These feelings are so tied with people. On the contrary, unhappiness it is a lack of positive emotion. A person without happiness, anyway, what the resemble fish without water, we need to feel joy. As a result, humanity is dependent from happiness. Let us identify the main idea of this phenomenon. It's not a secret, and the feelings are chemistry.
Serotonin, aka hormone of happiness or hormone of good feelings, is one of the common neurotransmitters. Biochemical structure of serotonin is a biogenic amine. For synthesis of serotonin, sunlight is necessary. That is why on sunny days people are in good mood. This process could explain well-known winter depression. Serotonin controls many functions in organisms. For example, it affects pain sensitivity. Then serotonin level is decreased, that increases pain sensitivity. That means a 1 week rotation without in severe pain. People who easily tolerate pain are people with an active serotonin system. Serotonin is important to block weak sensor flow, remove extra signals, and assist concentration for the main purpose. Another function of serotonin is connected with controlling negative emotion. Brain activity works the following way. The centers of positive and negative emotion compete with each other constantly. There must be balance because euphoric brain is also not good, and the lack of serotonin leads to depression.
Dopamine, the chemical structure refers to the small amount and is one of the factors of inner support. Additionally, this neurotransmitter serves as an important part of rewards because it causes pleasure, which influences the process of motivation and learning. Dopamine provides the ability to effectively learn from your own mistake, and lack of it could be provided to ignoring negative experience. Dopamine by natural image is reduced in considerable quantities by during positive experience. For example, eating the light of food, pleasant body sensation. Neurobiological experiments have demonstrated that even memory of encouragement can increase the dopamine level. So this neurobiology is used by the brain to evaluate and motivate. Also, it fixes the process action. Also, it fixes action important for survival and reproduction. What's more, dopamine forms the feeling of love, including maternal love. Predominantly, this neurobiology determines the speed of thinking and the speed of information process. If there are a large amount of dopamine in the system, then information process occurs fast. The person has a brain, has a fast brain. Such people can be very successful in mathematics, programming, and in general profession related to abstract meaning. The same mechanism gives us positive emotion associated with knowledge. This is a very important component of mental life because our brain is curious and obtaining the new information is very important. Also, it's necessary to know what is changing in the surrounding world to detect and analyze this change properly.
Now, that we have told you about the natural substances that cause happiness, it's time to talk about the synthetic substances that bring you to artificial happiness. Many illicit drugs increase the production and release of dopamine in the brain by 5 to 10 times. This allows people who use them to get a sense of pleasure unnaturally. Thus, amphetamine directly stimulates the release of dopamine, affecting its consumption, affecting in mechanism of okay. Other drugs such as cocaine and some other psychostimulants block the natural mechanism of dopamine reuptake, increasing its concentration in the synaptic space. Morphine and nicotine mimic the action of natural neurotransmitters, and alcohol blocks the action of dopamine antagonists. Let us consider LSD. LSD inhibits the reuptake of serotonin, increasing its content. At the moment when LSD was developed, the idea arose that this compound could be used for psychotherapy, and a person can remember some events that happened to them a long time ago. In other words, to relieve emotions. Unfortunately, nothing worked out. The neuropsychologists found that the harm from hallucinogens, even used during psychotherapy sessions, significantly exceeds the benefits. There is a very strong change in the structure of personality. The brain remembers these hallucinations and then can spontaneously and unexpectedly return to these hallucinatory states. As a result, in the 1960s, LSD and similar drugs became illegal.
Well, another legal drugs called by amphetamine that discovered at the beginning of the 20th century, which has a complicated history. Medics try to use it as a drug that causes weight loss, as a psychomotor stimulant, and as a performance enhancement. Currently, it's an illegal drug, of course. At the same time, it's used in clinic by our day for treatment of self-expression. Other dangerous and powerful narcotic called by cocaine relates to the same category. It is also greatly increase activity of that mind system and quickly cause the formation of addiction and dependence. Seriously changing the state of neural networks and especially the center of positive emotion. So, as a last, we hope you enjoy our short presentation and you know how to do it for yourself. Of course, we want to wish you find your own happiness without using any drugs.
For your report, do you still remember your question? Of course, great. You can ask that at the end of our Q&A session, I suppose. And now the audience must have wonderful questions as well. Yes, sure.
On the 7th slide, you mentioned alcohol. What do you mean? Maybe I don't get it.
Well, once more question. And the 7th slide.
Yes, alcohol. What alcohol? Volt means alcohol drinks and not substance by itself. Is it a class of substances or what do you mean? Is it
Wait, this actually there is a mistake on the slide.
Look at the phone, by the way.
Good alcohol, yeah. Well, by alcohol we mean that's a fear. That's not here. Not astonishing actually.
That happens, yeah, just a mistake. Foundation.
Okay. Any more questions, perhaps?
Yes, I have one question for you guys. What type of substance do you choose for yourself? This or nothing?
Myself, I choose nothing.
Okay, I'm sorry for this.
Sure.
Maybe it's like a medicine or some type of drugs. Okay.
I don't know what the question. Why do we choose especially this?
Yeah. It's about this.
Just because it's more popular drugs nowadays.
Okay. Thank you for
It's popular. That was a very close one. So yes, one back.
That's a question. What kind of actions can make you?
You can divide it. And for time.
So any more questions? Per chance. All right, so that must be all, I suppose. Thank you, guys. Let's ask the question.
The drawing it's all right. Play.
Don't look at me like that. I was only have something. You must be perfectly understanding this fact that you will hurt yourself much more than me, perhaps. And by the way, where are you going to get some radioactive nowadays?
have already talked to our next speakers, and I know I think they're sure about it. I can stand with you to find out. That's why I gave the book, you have to be rigid. Yeah. And so there's a letter on it. Read the report, history of poisonous and radioactive substances in ordinary people's lives.
People research and study a lot of substances from ancient times. Most of those examples are from since a lot of copper and tin. However, there are just so many substances to research these days. Moreover, we encounter a lot of toxins, substances that we didn't know of toxin before we realized research them a little bit better. Today we'll tell you about some of them. You might consider them pretty attractive, but remember that they will harm your health if contaminated.
Is what's used by ancient Egypt. There was a first civilization that we could trace back what colors that they use. It's have a orange and yellow color, and its formula is arsenic sulfide. This pigment was found in Tutankhamun's ornaments, also in ancient Egypt. This is as ink on scrolls. Also, this was used as a dye in the Taj Mahal project, but it started in the 17th century, so it was used for a long time.
Let us consider one more subject that originates from Egypt. Lead whitewash. It's a mix of lead carbonate and lead hydroxide. The first example we're being used is for people to color their skin with it, to give it more distinct white color. Also, it was used all around the world, with the most massive use in medieval Europe and Asia. Also, it worked with other colors for painting. Later, in 1921, it was banned by convention, and mostly for optional things, whitewash was used. Cinnabar and lead blue. It's the time of medieval times. There are vampires and kings. Cinnabar is a mix of minor of mercury and silver, and red, lead red, also known as minor, is a mixture of trivalent and equivalent lead oxide. Silver primarily was used from ancient times as a color of safety, for its distinct, intense red color. On the other hand, minimum as a more rough red color was used for paintings and in a respective household. To give this red status now. Both cinnabar and lead red were used for paintings, murals, and vases, and still used to this day in some aesthetic sculptures.
Next, colors is Schiller's green and Paris green. Schiller's green was developed by German Swedish chemist Schiller, and Paris green is for synthesized in Schweinfurt, so it's also known as Schweinfurt green. Their formulas are copper arsenate and copper arsenate. They was toxic and were used in 19th century as a food dyes. They painted in walls or on clothes. It have a big influence on culture, for example, some paintings. So they ranges from blue green to deeper blue. They was used as insecticides till 1950s, and actually Paris green was synthesized more later than Schiller's green, so it's considered to be less poisoning, but in the end it's more harmful for us.
Next up, when the Industrial Science Revolution finished, the world was left with new materials to create art and decoration. One of such materials was uranium divalent and trivalent oxides. Before knowing what danger hide around radioactive planets, people started creating art and decoration with uranium oxide. The most commonly used of uranium oxide in our country, known as uranium glass. Its massive production started around the 19th century, and still some companies use it today. But there's in many ways are safer because they don't use uranium natural minerals. And high-tech system uranium glass that was purely produced comes from natural uranium minerals that are very radioactive.
Next is uranium. It was developed in 19th century. It was radioactive, but in the beginning of the 20th century, it was used in every object it can because of its amazing properties. For example, it was used for watch faces in the United States watch company. So in 1996, people tried to cream teeth with it. They say that it makes them feel more younger and increase their health, but it's only worsen.
In the end, it's important to remember that toxic materials are not job to contact with, and you need to know what the objects you contact with are made of and how they are made to sustain a healthy environment around you. Thank you for listening. You can ask questions now if you have any.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah, I suppose you won't be adding any further to my tea now. But from now on, I will be bringing my tea from only some state yards.
You can ask our speakers about that too. Please, sir.
I heard that Napoleon died because wall of her room was found in shady bricks. True.
There's no confirmation that it's more likely that British poisoned the balloon by shaded green, but overall shaded green was used everywhere at the time, so we can just cancel this out because it might just was an accident, but no one knows for sure.
It's interesting.
Some more questions?
All right, if no questions are present, I suppose we can let you go. Yep. Yes, thank you. And on that rather intriguing note, we announce a coffee break. Don't be afraid, our tea is just absolutely and entirely safe to drink. So we have 15 minutes for the coffee break, and we will meet again after that time. Кофе брейк состоится в аудитории номер 308. 308. Начало второй части в 14:30, половина третьего.
Ну, вы идите, пейте кофе, мы сейчас мы можем зайти через дверь, где-то либо
Мне сказали создать новый бизнес. Я его создала. Gander. Нет, я знаю. Да. Или Gander.
И, наверное, мы сейчас транслируем.
А ничего страшного.
Я надеюсь, все участники не видят эту с одной низкой. Так, всем, кто меня слышит, ничего не тыкает. Почему? Вот уже сессию, все, не отлично.
А то есть все увидят, да?
То есть это как-то надо
Нет, я
ставить совместное сделать, вот хотя бы так. Ну все,
А дальше я просто
сделаем.
очень мне скинули ссылку, я ничего не понял, я испугался, ушел в себя. Там что-то
Удалил. Нет,
И видео. А это
Нет, они нормально.
Dear friends, you may take your seats. Now we're about to start. And before we get to the second part of our conference today, we'll have a small announcement. So please.
Я на родном русском скажу, потому что здесь очень шумно в зале. А здесь очень хорошая акустика, несмотря на аудиторию, большая, тем не менее. И каждого, кто что дошел, очень хорошо слышно. В итоге это перекрывает звук вот докладчиков. Просьба, пожалуйста, соблюдать тишину. Хорошо? Да, там можно написать что-то друг другу, если какие-то срочные вопросы. И докладчикам, соответственно, просьба чуть-чуть погромче и говорить в зал, не говорить, стараться с экрана, потому что даже с первых рядов это тяжело воспринимать. Спасибо.
So we welcome you all back. We hope that you have satisfied your hunger, and we are ready to proceed to the second part of our conference today.
I think they're ready for sure, and the glucose is a great cure of the brain.
Yes, that is absolutely right. Well, I suppose in that case, we can get going. So, colleague, how do you think? What is art to you?
Well, figurative understanding of reality is the process and the outcome of expressing the inner and outer world.
So, without any Googling.
Art is visible.
So, what is the connection between chemistry and art?
Chemistry is also beautiful, and on the top of that, chemistry has given us such a great art direction, like photography.
Well,
because
don't deprive our next speakers of the break, please. So, I think we should give the floor to Maria Yulandayeva with the report, The Art of Photography and Chemistry.
So, good morning, everyone. The topic of my report is art of creating photography and chemistry. So, we live in a time when we are surrounded by visual information, for example, be it for social media, advertising, television, internet, and in and outside of our house. And images containing a wide variety of subjects are surrounding us. So, almost everybody has a telephone in their pockets of these days with a good working camera in it. So this allows us to take pictures of our daily lives, and we all do this. It has become a normal thing to do. But let's take a look at the past of photography and find out how chemistry contributed to the development of the art of photography. So the content of my report includes four stages of photography process. Number one is obtaining a hidden image. Number two is developing or receiving a negative. Number three is fixing or pinning an image, and finally making prints. So now you can see at the presentation a database of chemicals and their reaction used in film photography. And during the film photography process, the light-sensitive crystal light coated on the film surface react with light, causing a chemical change in the crystals. So overall, film photography involves complex chemical processes that result in the creation of photographic image. So now we can see the structure of the film strip. Number one, we can see it as base, celluloid. Number two is the gelatin, which provides adhesion, that is ability to bind. And number three, we can see a foreign motion, sometimes silver bromide or rarely silver iodide. And then we can see a protective film. So for the manufacture of photosensitive films, gelatin stabilizes a motion of fine-grained silver crystal lights with a particle size of up to 1 micron is applied to a transparent film. Most often is used silver bromide since iodide has too high and fluoride has weak sensitivity light. So, as I said, the first step is obtaining a hidden image. So, when photographing under the influence of light, the ion bromine minus loses an electron. You can see it on the first equation. So silver is restored on the surface of the photosensitive grain, and which is released on defect in the crystals. So gelatin synthesizer binds released halogen and also increases the sensitivity of the layer. And then a cluster of metallic silver is formed, are formed in places where light rays hit. And but their number is so small and they form an invisible image that can remain hidden. So the second step involves the process of manifestation to enhance the hidden image. And you can see the reaction that to this end, the amount of metallic silver is increased by treating the exposed photographic film with a salt reducing agent, like most often 1,4-hydroquinone. So the reaction produces quinone and silver. So this process is catalyzed by silver crystals, which that have already formed during photography. As a result, almost all of the silver in the exposed areas of the layer is recovered. So the unevenness of black ring during manifestation leads to the formation of a picture of a photographed object. So after this process, we can see negative photos like on the presentation, and then we need to do fixing or pinning an image, and then to protect against restoration, black ring loss of the original image, the undecomposed silver bromide remaining on the film is removed using a sodium thiosulfate for 5 water molecules fixed in the form of thiosulfate complex, and you can see the equation of this process. And after such treatment and washing with water, silver is in the form of metal, and the film is not afraid of light. And we can need to say about primary process, that is making prints, and we can see final photo after this process. So when making prints, light is passed through the negative, which falls on photo paper with a photosensitive layer applied to it. So thanks to this, the light transmission is reversed. The dark places of the negative on the photo paper correspond to the light ones, and vice versa, as we can see, for example. Further, the operation of manifestation and consolidation are repeated, and in this way, black and white images are obtained. So, in conclusion, I want to say that in this way, silver lights are consumed by the photo industry in large quantities. So the chemical process used to create film photographs require precision to produce a quality image. And each film strip has its own specific properties. For example, as a result, photo taking so unified. And thank you for your attention.
So, is that what you wanted to tell me about the art?
It's not something I didn't want to tell you about.
And while we are sorting out the intricacies of double negations, I suppose you have some questions to ask. Yes.
Seeing the digital photo, can you replace with the old style photography?
For me, I think the film strip photography can find the pleasure of photography because when they creating this photo, they include their soul in this process, and that's why this is I agree with you. I see vintage now is very popular.
Yes, sure.
I think I made a photo site about it's
Yes, sure.
Can you explain again the second step of the complete with the one why do you need to use it? Because when the silver bromide is affected by the light, it causes to the dissipation of silver. Chance for the second step. And we skip it. Great. No, we can because certain sulfate is used for making high sensitive images, and that's what so if I want to use it, I will get it, but it will be negative for like I have about this step with like silver ink, but still you are trying to get silver ink again. I think we need this step for sensitivity to later.
But maybe we could leave this question for the end of the conference. Right? Cool. Just for one question. Time for one more question. Oh, yes, sure.
What is the most interesting step? The most interesting step is making prints because after when you see negative photos, you make correction is silver bromide isolate, sodium disulfate, and see photos of the ones.
So that must be all. All right. So we thank you.
How people can chemistry?
Well, there are many applications, I suppose. Some preserving agents, flavor enhancers, some other editors, perhaps.
Yes, but won't even get to the point where we eat in a grain nutritional mass and we balance proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and calories.
Well, that sounds like some kind of a dystopia to me.
No, those are my thoughts. But I think the world is not that bleak, and chemistry is being applied in the right way. On the note of hope, I give the floor to Evgenia Ivanova and her report, Chemistry in the Food Industry.
Hello, so today I want to tell you about chemistry and its role in food industry. Let's begin. In the beginning of the 20th century, chemistry role in food industry increased. Since science had got widespread, different chemical substances began to be used too in chemistry in food industry in different quantities. Nowadays, chemistry is still used in food industry. At any stage, our food can be improved by different chemical substances, and the type of the substance is chosen based on the purpose it's used. Using chemistry achievements, we can save and improve our food quality. Food additives. Food additives are substances which are added in small quantities in food to save them from spoilage, to save food products from spoilage, give them flavor or color. Food additives have been used since for a long time. Among the most ancient and the most common food additives are salt, sodium chloride, and sugar. Those compounds were used not only for preserving but also for improving taste. Manufacturers have constantly increased the set of the substances added to food products, and there was a need to streamline this process. And since products are often imported and exported by different countries, it was necessary to develop a uniform standards for food additives. Integration is the closest in the countries of the European Economic Community, EEC. And the EEC has introduced a list of food additives that are considered safe. This list is intended to streamline the using of food additives by manufacturers. They identify of food additives, their general requirements for their degree of purification, as well as evidence that these compounds have been tested for harmlessness, are protected by assigning a special E number, which consists from the letter E after word Europe and a 3-digit number. Food additives are listed in order of decreasing the content of ingredients. For manufacturers outside the EEC, this also is a guideline, especially if manufacturers intend to export their products. Using food additives must be justified. That means that food additives may be used in food products only when improving properties and save nutritional value cannot be achieved by another technological methods. Also, food additives must not be toxic, addictive, harmful for nutritional value. For example, in fat-rich products, it's required to use antioxidants to protect them from residency, color, and taste change, as well as from loss of nutritional value. On slide, you can see some popular types of food additives. For example, coloring agents, E number from 100, preserving agents, E number from 200, antioxidants, E number from 300, emulsifiers and stabilizers, E number from 400 and higher. Among organic compounds, there are many that have sweet taste. The most famous of them is sugar, but it's not the sweetest one. Even in nature exist substances sweeter than sugar. For example, fructose is 73% sweeter. Xylitol is twice as sweet. Synthetic sweetness and their mix can be sweet as much as 100 sugar. You can see list on slide. For example, potassium acesulfame, E number 9510, is 500 times sweeter than ordinary sugar. Flavoring agents. Food flavorings are a mixture of substances or an individual substance introduced into food as a food additive in order to improve its organoleptic properties. According to this information, concentrated juices and syrups must not be classified as flavoring agents because they can be used as food products. From a chemical point of view, flavoring agents are carbonic acids, aldehydes, alcohols, and esters. But it's important to say that most flavorings are a result of mixing substances. For example, a flavoring of a freshly baked bread consists from 159 substances. Natural flavorings include only natural components, substances which can be synthetic from their origins. Flavorings equal to naturals are substances with the same formula as natural, but it was obtained artificially. Synthetic flavorings consist from full artificial synthetic substances. And on slide you can see some flavorings and their names. Preserving agents. Preserving agents are chosen based on preserved products. For example, acetates mostly used in household, but also for sauces. Propionates used for cheese making. Nitrates, and sulfites aren't used in modern food industry because of their toxicity. Benzoates are used in for canning fruits, berries, and fish. Sorbates is a big universal preserving agent. It's used for most canned products, including canned fish and meat, also for juices and alcohol drinks. Conclusion. Food additives nowadays is an integral part of food industry. All substances added to our food are certified and safe. These compounds required to improve our food quality and make it tastier. Thank you for your attention.
For the report.
So how did this thoughts gone?
Yes, but so it's about food game. I think a couple of questions to the speaker can dispel them.
You can start.
How do you think why a lot of people are afraid of buying food like markings like key numbers?
I think this because of in society it's a general opinion that chemistry is something dangerous and mustn't be used in food. And E marker is like a marker of chemistry.
May you please switch to the 6th slide? I have some question about those sugars. How popular they are, like in normal products, for example, canned drinks and another.
Oh, you
stuff
mean
like
what
that.
does it mean?
No, not what does it mean, but how often can I see it just like, in order to they are sound like something extra stuff, extra sweet.
It's depends of what you buy. If you, for example, buy something sweet, you can see these markers. Also, these markers are used in special food. For example, for people with illnesses like diabetes, they can't eat ordinary sugar, and they use something from their not the sweet, but other.
Yes, they are not like that. Doesn't give the same effect as sugar, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
You said that food additives shouldn't be harmful. Aren't sweeteners like aspartame or saccharin and sulfam not harmful? I heard that oil is a myth.
It's not be harmful. It means that it must be extra in food. For example, if you need to don't use sugar, but you need very sweet product, you can use some potassium sulfide in a very small quantity and make sweet food.
You say the food additives are completely safe, but why some on page of have marks that say just review some channels attention?
Now chemistry is still developed, and new food additives are introduced, and they are changed, and the properties are now more learning than, for example, 50 years ago, and it was it was known that they are toxic and dangerous for our plants.
So that must be all. No, just another one.
I'd like to ask about the point that always active students reach to the addictions. Still, there are automate which is used in the food industry to use it, and why it isn't it's okay to use food additives, or some properties cannot be achieved by our ordinary influence on food, for example. And if we don't use food additives, they can be spoilage, not good. Yeah, what about my place? If mistaken, they are still used in sausages. I don't know the accurate composition of sausages, but if they are used, that means that these sausages shouldn't be eaten. So, the final question. Maybe now, does Russia have some list of additives which can be used? Yes, in different countries this list sometimes changes from the EPC, but in general it's the same because the same food additives have the same harmful or useful properties.
So that was good. Thank you very much. So still thinking about food?
My head is started thinking. I'd like to rest and think about something else. And I think I know someone who can do that.
Now we invite our guys for the interactive break, right? Let's give them some applause.
And now let's take a short break. Please take your phones and follow the website quizzes, or just follow this link. Use your real names.
No, this is a fine thing.
We shall know the winner. Identify them.
Oh my gosh.
So are we waiting for someone? So I think let's start. Oh, okay. Waiting. Begin? Yeah. So let's go.
And the last question. Well, thank you for your.
Hopefully we now are going to see the winners.
All right. Well, we can still see that, I suppose.
Yeah, the name can be seen.
Yes.
Who is this person in the middle? The person stands up. Really?
Seriously, really? Why did not see? And two other places, perhaps.
The second place was
Yes, really.
who's that?
Wonderful. Place goes to Semyon. Please stand up.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we can get back to the serious stuff.
All right. Speaking of seriousness, we have already grasped the topic of the art in the lens of the photography. But what about the lens of the film camera?
Is there some kind of chemistry involved that it's just moon pictures?
Well, I would also like to know because our speakers draw a very interesting parallel between the chemistry and the movies. So we will give the floor to Svetlana Bukalova and what we should talk with the report formula of success cinematography as analytical chemistry.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We hope you are doing well this day.
Have you ever thought about the close connection between analytical chemistry and movies? No? We haven't thought this way either. However, at the second year of studying at university, we have studied such a fascinating and widely applicable subject as analytical chemistry.
We gained knowledge of the theoretical background of analytical chemistry and of its practical application. This helped us to understand that the same processes can occur either in films and in chemical processes. It sounds pretty weird and rather open-minded, but today we will show that it is true.
Before we begin, we want to give a disclaimer. In Russian cinematography, there are a lot of excellent and high-quality films. However, people sometimes do not know about them. At this time, we are not going to discuss the reasons for this. Everything that will be mentioned is our subjective opinion, and we understand that it may differ from yours. Please be respectful for this. Today, we are going to discuss connection between analytical chemistry and movies, testing solutions, procedure, techniques, equipment, and analytical signals in cinematography, and we are going to show you our formula of success.
Any method of analysis is based on the connection between target and analytical signal, particular property of the substance that help us to obtain information about component of interest. For example, in gravimetry, analytical signal is a mass of gravimetric form. In titrimetry, it is volume of titrant, in indicators color change, and so on. Analytical chemistry may appear complicated and a little boring. At the same time, cinematography is something most of us know and love. However, there is a close link between them. In cinematography, we have analytical signal as well, and in our presentation, we're going to guide you to understand what it is.
We will be comparing two completely different film compositions. The first is HBO's Chernobyl, directed by Jochen Rain. The second is Chernobyl, directed by Daniel Koslovsky. These two works show different points of view on the awful event of the last century, the disaster at Chernobyl nuclear power plant. As in analytical chemistry, cinematography must have a primary standard with non-concentration. In our case, it is the Chernobyl disaster. The tested solutions will be two movies that we analyze. We have to qualitatively and quantitatively assess our solutions, compare them, and calculate which of these will fit our formula of success.
In chemistry, we need to apply proper procedure to conduct any experiment, whereas in cinematography, flow or script is mandatory. In HBO Chernobyl, the script is so magnificent the viewer believes in the reality of film scenes. Of course, in this series, we can observe some stereotypes about our country. However, generally, it does not interfere with perception. In the Russian version, the whole plot adapts to the main character. Because of that, an ordinary firefighter knows the nuclear plant better than engineers who work at it. Furthermore, radiation does not affect him till the end.
For accurate studying target analysis, chemists apply different techniques. Physical and chemical principles we can use for analysis. In cinematography, to create an impressive scenario, writers have to properly apply each step. So, in the Koslovsky's version, we can observe one of the most common handsome main character cliché. When character lives good literally in any situation compared to other people suffering from radiation. This difference makes viewers doubt the reality of what is happening on the screen. In HBO's Chernobyl, we can observe flawless example of from enemies to friends cliché. Main characters were forced to work together at the beginning of the film. Men hadn't liked each other at all. However, they could become good colleagues who were ready to fight shoulder to shoulder with catastrophe.
The more accurate laboratory equipment, the lower limits of experiment. In the cinematography, it works the same way. The higher quality of requisite, the more realistic scenes in movies. If we talk about titration, it is necessary to obtain a clear color change of indicators for accurate results. Therefore, in cinematography, fine visuals are needed for successful perception of movies. Both of the analyzed films have breathtaking visuals that help us to dive into the atmosphere and plot. However, it should be noted that in Koslovsky Chernobyl, there are some problems with shaking camera. Unfortunately, we don't know the reasons of this. We consider it may be the cameraman's chronic trauma. Who knows?
One of the important analytical signals in cinematography is music. In American Chernobyl, we felt the strongest pressure in a single scene only because of music. In Russian version, unfortunately, the soundtrack does not affect the viewers in a proper way. Therefore, sometimes people cannot dive into a plot because of mismatch of music and action on the screen.
Let's outline the results of the analysis in the table. As we have already mentioned, HBO Chernobyl has breathtaking visual and music, while quality requisite and great chess application. However, despite realistic script stereotypes about our country are noticeable. Because of that, we estimate the script as plus minus.
In Koslovsky's Chernobyl, we have some mismatch of the application and music. Furthermore, the script and requisites sometimes look realistic because of hot tension to the main character. However, the visuals are many are fascinating.
In analytical chemistry, after obtaining the results, we calculate error limits by applying different formulas. In our case, we decided to develop a formula of success that can show which of the films were more successful. The formula of success consists of flow or script minus excessive cliches, We can allow corrections there if the cliché was used properly, plus perfect requisite, plus good visual, plus well-matched music. For convenience, we will put numbers into our formula. 1 means that this film fits this point. 0.5 means that this film fits partially. 0.2, this is correction for cliché, if it's necessary. And 0 means that this film does not fit this point. So what we get? According to Chernobyl by Jochen Rank, we have 3.7. We used our corrections that, of course, in the film we saw a good example of cliché application. And according to Chernobyl by Daniel Kozlovsky, we have 1. As you can see, the film by Jochen Rank is more successful than the film by Daniel Kozlovsky.
This calculation can be done by film critics and viewers reviews. This way, Chernobyl from HBO has 8 out of 10 points on Kinopoisk and 9.4 out of 10 on IMDb's ratings. Chernobyl by Daniel Kozlovsky at the same time has 4.8 and 5.1 on Kinopoisk and IMDb.
In conclusion, we have shown that analytical chemistry and cinematography have a close link. For that, we have analyzed 2 films based on the real event of the last century. To raise this more objectively, we applied knowledge of theoretical chemistry background to create a formula of success, which shows that Jochen Rank's film is more successful than the film by Danilo Kozlovsky. Thank you for your attention.
The connection between chemistry and film is amazing. How did they get to such a topic?
That is a great question, and I suppose it is worthy of asking our presenters. And other questions as well? So please. Not a single question. Wow. Yes.
Do we see another film with Danilo Kozlovsky? Where Danilo Kozlovsky have some role?
Actually, I saw another one film with Danilo Kozlovsky. It was something like on a district, maybe in English, in Russian, never done. It is also not a good example of his actor's career.
So first of all, thank you very much for your request. I very much enjoy this metaphor. I love metaphors. This is part of my profession. So did this metaphorical connection that you were trying to establish between cinema and chemistry, did it help you to understand a little? And the answer is yes.
Yes, it's helped me because, let's be honest, I have problems with analytical chemistry, and I always didn't understand what is analytical signal. And when we started to do our presentation, I really understand what it is in analytical chemistry. It's really helpful.
How did you choose different places to compare? Why these one, not another one? I believe are talking about some films but with good reasons to hear this film with another film.
Actually, they are as we think, they are the same as in analytical chemistry. When we have our technical things, also need to say, do you have any standards or not? Then we need to analyze it using different reactions or different procedures, and then we can, while doing this procedure, we can see different political signals as well. And we just go one and one. Color change is like visual.
So you ran through the procedural Why did you choose HTML?
It's an interesting question because I think we don't have a real clear answer for this. When we thought about our theme, we tried to find films connected with our theme, and
it was really complicated because we need some films that we can assess, we can compare to make it clear for you to understand our thing. And we try to choose films with the same gender, like actually Russian version is called like The Answer for HBO's Chernobyl. So it is one of the reasons.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. So, from point of view, what do you think about analytical chemistry? Because sometimes maybe it can be so boring. For example, when we talk about the process of titration, what do you think about it? Analytical chemistry? Maybe doing that.
Yeah, of course, sometimes it's boring because you need to titrate 3 or more times.
You need to wait.
Yeah, we need to wait. But it's very interesting because you can see different of color change and you can see step-by-step processes. It's very interesting, really. But yeah, then when you titrate, it's boring.
We can feel ourselves like investigators, like, oh, how many lines do we have in this solution? Something like that.
So no questions at all? All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
So in order something new, we have to destroy the world, like solve like the universe is whole because it's only after we lost everything that we're free to do anything.
Well, entropy from the straits began to unwind in this wonderful room. And if I recall correctly, we must have announced something extremely exciting for the guests.
It's really interesting how you do not buy graphics to create something truly fascinating and scary. So I give the floor to Boris Bakimov and with their report, whose guys don't look at explosions, pyrotechnics in filmmaking.
Director Quentin Tarantino is not involved in this film.
Screenwriter Michael Bay designed special effects instead of a script.
Starring Yevdokimov Boris
And Kirill Kogut in film Cool Guys Don't Look at Explosions. Hello everyone! And here we go with gunpowder, smoke, and large booms. Today we are gonna tell you about Michael Bay's favorite toys. All of you exactly know what that is.
You're goddamn right. It's huge, powerful, destructive explosions. The first question you might come up with is why on earth do we account for real explosions? There's CGI everywhere, and yet explosions are a hot issue. The answer is yes. Explosions have taken their niche in such art performances like Mad Max, Fury Road by George Miller, Transformers by Michael Bay, Pirates of the Caribbean by Gore Verbinski, and, for example, Major Grom by Electrofusion. Yes, there are many other examples.
As you can see, aerostroke explosions are dangerous and traumatic. They are still applicable in every expansion project. The key idea is that real kaboom much more believable than computer analysis.
So how do we do a real explosion happens? Well, say hello to my little friends, reagents. The most common detonating agents, as you may know, are nitrogen-containing organic compounds, Even though they are ultra hazardous, like one breeze of air, it would explode in a deadly rage, the effect they deliver is unreachable otherwise. Well, in order to synthesize them, there is a common reagent. It is sulfuric and nitric acid blend. The acid blend purpose here is a protonization of, in order to obtain nitronium, and then nitronium reacts with your organic compound and material is ready. Also, the gunpowder usually applied in cinema is a complex mixture of carbon, sulfur, and potassium nitrate.
What makes a gunpowder a gunpowder? Guns. First of all, it will require to highlight that all boomstick applied are plastic dummies that shoot plastic dummies bullet. But in good old days, people use a real gun in movies. Yeah, cool day. Anyway, you may have a question. By virtue of what kind of bullet holes appear? There is an explanation. For such purpose, special blasts are exploited. These blasts are filled up with smokeless powder and potassium chloride, aka bad salt, and positioned into prepared location and camouflage with a fuller ease. The main purpose in this procedure
is not to make it overpowerful, because it may end up not with a blast but with a vapor.
Yes. However, during the filming, this blast exploded with help of remote control, and we believe that gun has been shot. If there is no opportunity to place that kind of blast, for example, surfaces to thin or whatever, squibs are applied. Squibs, small and flat blast that has sealant specific as an ordinary load. To make our gun shoot realistically, we need a pinch of magic. Another important topic is fog and smoke. Fog and smoke applied in movies, different purposes. Atmosphere, like a budget, skirmish. By what power does a spellcast smoke release? Do you have the bonfire to believe every flipping time? Thanks God, it is not that wise. Most of the time, people use smoke bombs. The recipe is ABC and can be repeated even under cold condition. Impair the besieged. Under no circumstances don't try to replicate it. Commonly, smoke bombs contain a mixture of potassium chloride and chloride with saline drugs and naphthalene. If colored focuses, required colorants are added into additional blends. For example, rhodamine and indigo and other example.
Okay, and by the way, let's speculate about the most breathtaking part of cinematography. It's indubitably a huge places, explosions and settlement bombardment. In order to create all those impressive kabooms, we need to create the replicas and prepare the scene. Replicas are mostly made of wood and can be redecorated into metal or other required materials, and can be supplemented with maybe arson, some sparkles, fogs, and so on. The other thing is blasts. As a blast reagent, we use gunpowder, which is common to us, and but that's of course not enough. We need to make it looks realistic. Then we need to place a specific sparkle and fog agents in very particular places in order to create an unimaginable scene. Therefore, The place near the explosion deployment can be sprinkled with a dry and with solid dry earth in order to create these clouds of dust and craters. Why is the application of all those instruments can produce really incredible cuts that will touch you in a minute. You can see an example. And at last, it's important to mention, the first rule of pyrotechnic lab is you don't apply pyrotechnic in order to harm.
The second rule of the pyrotechnic lab, you don't apply pyrotechnic in order to harm.
The third rule in pyrotechnic lab is when someone says stop or goes limp, the show is over.
The first rule is explosion carried out by professional alone.
The fifth rule, one explosion is not enough.
Sixth rule, no fear, only beauty.
Seventh rule, explosion go as long as they have to.
And the eighth rule.
And the last rule of pyrotechnic lab is,
if this is your first combustion,
you have to have joy.
And welcome to the pyrotechnic lab.
Thanks for your attention.
Just like I said, gentlemen, thank you for the reference.
Was it planned or was it just based on intuition and interest?
Of course, it was a second. I hope our experts and the audience share the feeling in their questions. Some questions?
Yes. Have you ever tried to do some protective materials by yourself?
Can you please repeat?
Have you ever do the pyrotechnic materials by yourself?
Dangerous question.
I don't want to go to the prison, obviously. But no, of course, like so something like this mess, come to the slide words. Something like that, of course, no, because I have no right for that. But something like detonating stuff when I was child, yes. What about you?
I don't go in prison again. Some question?
Yeah, I have. My question is boring, but could you please return to the slide where was the position of color smoke? Yeah,
Okay. This slide?
Yeah, I think I just missed it, but what is the meaning of the numbers?
Milk sugar?
All of them.
The number, just the numbers. What does it mean?
This number. Okay, it's our secret. No say anybody. Okay. It's a gram. It's a mass in gram.
In order to create or can the percentage of mass. That's all.
40 grams of black smoke, 40 grams of black smoke.
What?
It's this line or first on any line. So what do you mean by these colors? For example, white smoke 35 and 20. What are
It just means the color of smoke you would obtain. That's like a different. It's just a different recipe for that. There are two recipes for white, black, and red.
What is the rest? Mixture. Okay, so to get a white smoke, I can get the 35 grams of potassium chloride, and 20 grams of what?
Ammonium chloride.
25 of ammonium chloride and 13 grams of anthracene.
Wasn't that obvious?
Don't try,
It's one ingredient twice, like well, any ingredient present in twice. I should.
Like you mean that if there is a one recipe, that is the second.
Yes.
Yes, it is that way. That's like
Yes,
that's for the first one, and that's for the second.
It's two different websites.
Yes. It depends on the situation.
Yes.
Maybe
Maybe
the
you have
thickness of smoke, for
maybe
example.
you have Ceylon drugs and you can use it. Yeah.
But at the same time, we can do white smoke when you get this, and you have actually the same receipts and you are seeing different colors. How does it work? Which substances are colorful and white?
We don't. We tell you not to replicate this, and we are doing the same way. Therefore, we're not doing it. We weren't doing all those recipes, but that's like that was taken from a book that specifically tell us about the pyrotechnics used in, for example, in USSR.
Book names пиротехников кино. Автор Лихачев.
You maybe he would somehow tell you.
Any other questions, perhaps? No, not so debatable.
How much do people like this thing?
That seems to be everything.
Boris, Kirill, thank you for your
The tension has vanished and the spring break is in the air again, and we can conclude this day of the conference right now.
Thank you very much to all participants, spectators, and experts for sharing this whole day of science with us. And we are not the only ones who want to thank our experts. Надежда Владимировна, you have the floor.
Very much. So I won't say any loud words full of papers because this is just the end of the first day. Tomorrow we'll meet again and have a closing speech once again. So today I would just like to thank our dear experts for their attention, for their kind of participation, for their agreement to be involved in this event. Actually, I didn't expect to have that large board of the experts, and I'm so happy that different points of view. So I have something to give to you as a small present, as a small gift. So these are the certificates that were signed by the Dean of the Faculty of Foreign Languages, and a short, a small, memorable thing to carry with you along the way in case you have to take notes, maybe taking down the recipe of the white smoke. So the first certificate and the notebook goes to Martin Kalchikov. Почта. Что-то выделила. So very much to see tomorrow.
Just a few more things, all right? So as you have probably noticed, there will be no awarding today because the awarding will be performed only tomorrow. So this is the second day to fully understand the importance of all this grand endeavor.
Okay, voting of the audience prize will open today, and that's it for now. And have a great day, and see you again.
Goodbye.